Let me tell you, after seeing this movie, I got this weird chill up my spine that just makes me feel like someone's following me. And that's gonna make it kind of hard to sleep. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing the reimagining of The Invisible Man, which is of course directed and written by Leigh Whannell. Of course it stars Elisabeth Moss, Aldous Hodge, Storm Reed, Harriet Dyer, Michael Dawman, and of course Oliver Jackson-Cohen. This is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. That trailer, really grabbed my attention because when this was announced, I got excited because Leigh Whannell directed a little movie called Upgrade. If you haven't seen it, it definitely should. And the way that movie was shot was fantastic. And the way that the movie's story played out was also the most unique thing because it plays out in unconventional ways because you think you know where it's going to go and then it takes a hard left or a right or whatever you like to say, takes those twists and turns. And hearing that Leigh Whannell was going to be able to do The Invisible Man got me very much excited to see, 1, how he would shoot it, 2, what his ideas would be, and of course 3, those twists and turns that we know we're going to get out of it. And to say the least, The Invisible Man, I'm just going to come out and say it, I think it's perfect. It's near perfection. Every single thing in this movie, every single second to every single minute, every little detail makes this movie to be one of the best horror thrillers that I've seen in quite a while. It takes a lot for me to get on the edge of my seat, and it definitely takes a lot for me to get scared, but The Invisible Man got me. It got right under my skin, crawled up my spine, and wouldn't let me go. Of course, if you guys are new here though and you don't want The Invisible Man coming after you, make sure you're gonna hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you guys excited for this movie? Are you not? Let's discuss it down there. Invisible Man follows Cecilia, who receives the news of her abusive ex-boyfriend's suicide. She begins to rebuild her life for the better. However, her sense of reality is put into question when she begins to suspect her deceased lover is not actually dead and might even be invisible. Invisible Man's always been kind of a cheesy type of universal monster for me, but it's one that I've always been so fascinated with, one that I've loved, and one that I was just adored when I was younger. And I've always loved all these universal monster movies, and I've wanted a great reimagining of almost every single one of them, you know, whether it's Dracula, Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, Creature from Black Lagoon. It's these kind of creatures that I grew up on, and I wanted to see a reimagining of them. And hearing that they were going to reimagine this after The Mummy, which we're not going to really talk about, but hearing that they were going to reimagine this with Blumhouse kind of got me a little bit more excited because it's a lower budget, and I didn't really know what they were going to do with it. I just knew the cast and the crew, and then I see the concept of it from the trailer, and it really sold me. Concept leads to not just a very suspenseful movie, but also a timely one. One that really creeps up your skin, and one that makes you feel like someone is in the corner with you. This movie does so many great things that I don't even know if they were truly intentional, but they feel that way. A lot of times when we watch horror movies, we're sitting there in the corner trying to close our eyes, but also trying to keep it open just so we can see what's going to happen. The fascinating thing about this movie is you can't do that. You can close your eyes, but you're still going to hear the eerie sound design, the sound effects, the creepy creeping of a footsteps that you might think are there or could not be. You might be the twisting of something, the moving of a subtle thing as you turn around and see that something's different. It's those subtle things that Leigh Whannell does so well that makes it one of the most horrifying things that I've seen and one of the most suspenseful things that got right under my skin. I was trying to look at every single thing in all the sequences to see what could happen, what could be moved, what is happening with this. And as the film starts to play out more, this just becomes a great design. With the production design mixed in again with the sound design, it makes for an eerie, creepy, ice-chilling sequences that really, again, just make you feel so uncomfortable. Do such a good job of putting you in Cecilia's footsteps that it's so hard to not get out of there. And again, you get to those moments in horror films where you're trying not to look, but you also are. The thing is, there's nothing scary. It's an invisible man. There's nothing to look at. But you're still on the edge of your seat, waiting to see what happens. And I sat there with my fists closed on the edge of my seat, sweating a bunch, not knowing what was going to happen, and I loved it. And every single time I thought I knew what was going to happen, a twist happened, or a turn happened, and it left my jaw on the floor. There are a couple moments in particular in this movie where I was sitting there just going, what was that? Oh my God! And you look at everyone around you and everyone has the same reaction. The jump scares are effective when they're there. but it's really that suspense, the creeping of the noises, and the certain twists and turns that really catch you off guard, that really just throw you back and go, wow. While yes, some of those elements could be a little bit predictable as it's leading up throughout the story, it still left me hanging, leaving me feeling so satisfied by the end. That's how you do a true great horror story. One that leaves you satisfied by the end, but one that just creeps you all the way through. And even from the opening sequence, the way that it just opens up and it just gives you this very suspenseful feeling, while also at the same time not really knowing much about Cecilia already. You're already on the edge of your seat. And from those opening sequences, I already knew I was going to love this movie. And as this movie played out, I kept knowing I was going to love it. And I went into this movie with, my expectations probably up here. And I think this is even out of the camera. I might be wrong, but it was pretty high. And I walked out just oh my God. And I walked up to the studio rep and I was telling her, I was like, I love this movie. Every single thing encaptured me into this. And I walked out just going, I can't wait to see this movie again. I gotta talk about the performances in here. Elisabeth Moss is one of the best actresses working today. We've seen it in Handmaid's Tale. We've seen it in Her Smell. We've seen it in a bunch of different things that she's been in. She goes to such a high level in here and gives one of the best performances of this year. And when it comes to horror films, this might be one of my favorite horror performances in a while. I mean, when you look at Florence Pugh in Midsommar, she's great in there. Toni Collette's fantastic in Hereditary. There's just something, though, about her character in here that plays around with the idea of many people obviously think she's crazy because she's saying that this guy's invisible and torturing her still. And in a weird way, even though we see what's happening, you're still feeling that she could be crazy by the end. And of course, this is a non-spoiler review. I don't want to get into any spoilers, but I'm still sitting there going, she could be crazy, or maybe I'm crazy, and she plays it off so well, while also feeling such emotions. Because again, like I mentioned earlier, this is a timely story. This is actually pretty believable, and the way that Leigh Whannell is able to take the Invisible Man into a modern scenario, and the way that they set it up and really give you a lot of very satisfying answers to this whole thing, makes it to be really cool. And I love that take and how it didn't feel cheesy. It just felt realistic, and I could believe in this happening in today's scenario. In fact, if I had a friend come to me and say, I think my ex-boyfriend is haunting me, and I'm pretty sure he's invisible, I might take a double take and be like, I don't think you're crazy. Let's talk about this for a second. Let's investigate. I have to give a major shout out to the guy himself, Oliver Jackson-Cohen, who plays Adrian Griffin, the Invisible Man. It takes a lot. Obviously, you don't see a lot of him in here because he's the Invisible Man, but you know he's there. And there's just something about his voice, his presence, and in general, the embodiment of him that he does such a great job in there. And giving a major shout out to as well Aldous Hodge and Storm Reed, who really bring a lot to these roles, really add a lot to the dynamics of the supporting cast when it comes to this. And while even though this pretty much is Elisabeth Moss's showcase, the Invisible Man just grabbed me and never let me go. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on the Invisible Man, make sure to comment down below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you guys excited for this movie? Are you not? Am I getting you more hype for it? Leave a like. Leave a comment. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. And of course, guys, head over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. And of course, just a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. Invisible Man is honestly perfect. Every second and every detail is all but perfect in every single thing I wanted from this movie and more. It's all laid out in a suspenseful, edge-of-your-seat thriller that could play out like usual, but takes twists and turns that made my jaw hang from my mouth and hit the floor as hard as possible. Elisabeth Moss is incredible in this movie and really brings a powerhouse performance. And like I already mentioned, my expectations were so high for this film, and I heard so many great things about it. But sometimes films can disappoint you. But I walked out just with my expectations exceeded, in love with this movie. I mean, you even asked the studio reps that I talked to afterwards. I was just so in love with this movie. I had the biggest smile on my face. The chills are up my spine and still in my skin. And Leigh Whannell you've made a classic, my dude. I cannot wait to see this film again. I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this movie. Again, horror is very subjective. This could have scared me. It might not scare you. Again, it's very suspenseful, and that's what gets me. These kind of psychological, suspenseful horror films that kind of just creep under your skin are the ones that really get me the most. And this modernized twist on The Invisible Man is truly everything I wanted. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Invisible Man an A+. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on The Invisible Man. Did you guys like it? Did you hate it? Let's discuss it down below, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. Look out for more movie reviews soon. And of course, until next time, stay classy.